This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers, 2 3-page essays on the theme of masculism and MGTOW, written and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 184, entitled De-Princessing. Description: young feminazis behave like princesses, expecting men to cater to their every whim. These princesses are imbibed with feminist rhetoric and treat young men like shit. This flyer gives men a counter-ideology, namely MGTOW masculism, that men can use to lash out against feminazi princesses, deflating their inflated egos and putting fear into their souls of not getting a man to give them babies. Just a minute. Technical glitch. De-princessing. De-princessing is deflating the inflated egos of young feminazi princesses using MGTOW masculist arguments. Young women now can be insufferably and unjustifiably arrogant, acting like real princesses, expecting to get from men whatever these princesses want, especially being paid for, given attention to their every whim, and put on a pedestal as superior creatures. Until recently, men had no real reply to the feminist arguments of these young princesses, so these princesses treated young men like shit and walked all over them. Now men do have arguments that they can throw back at these princesses and crush their arrogant egos. These princesses are so accustomed to having their way, feeling that as young women imbued with feminist rhetoric, they are justified that they can treat men as badly as they want. Young men are fed up with this princess arrogance, so are glad to be able to hit back at such women using MGTOW masculist arguments. These princesses rarely come across a real masculist who lashes back at them, and with a venom greater than women can muster, because men are both smarter and more aggressive on the whole than women. So once these men have been given the appropriate ideas, the right ideology, the right ism, they then have the intellectual tools to strongly hit back at these princesses and deflate their inflated princess egos. It comes as a shock to these princesses to be strongly confronted by a MGTOW masculist who cuts them to pieces ideologically and lashes back at them with real conviction and contempt. These princesses are so accustomed to having their own way, justified by a collective female feminist ideology, that to be strongly challenged by a masculist MGTOW feels very threatening to them and makes them feel decidedly uncomfortable. As an example of such a princess-masculist MGTOW confrontation, consider the following. W, that's woman.
We women can do anything we want. We are equal to men. We can do anything that men can do. We feel that women are the superior sex, that men exist on this earth to pay for women to have babies. And if they don't pay for us, we punish them by not giving them sex. Only women have a vagina, and it's a very powerful weapon for us to manipulate men to do things for us. For example, working for us and paying for us to make women's lives easier.
M stands for man or masculist. With an attitude like that, you feminazi bitch princess, you'll be punished by men by not having one. Men are now waking up in their hundreds of millions that being a manslave to a fluffy parasite is stupid and unnecessary. And in brackets, fluffy equals traditional woman who expects to be able to parasite off the money of a man. You fluffy feminists have taken over the divorce courts in all your hypocrisy, wanting equal rights with men, but rejecting equal obligations with men. That is, rejecting having to get a career-competent education so that you can be a real FIP, that's F-I-P, financially independent person, and pull your own financial weight and not parasite off a man. But 3/4 of you at high school choose to study fluffy crap, e.g. languages, English literature, history. That is, intellectually lazy, memory-based, non-analytical, soft option subjects that don't require you to think like math and the sciences. You then are forced to study more fluffy crap at university because you don't have the high school prerequisites to study career competent majors at university. So you end up with a fluffy crap diploma that the economy does not value, so you earn a low salary. As a feminazi princess, you will have over 40 different penises in you in your 20s, statistics show. In your 30s, your biological clock will start ticking hard, so you'll start looking around for some manslave to parasite upon, because you were a fluffy crapper at high school and in your early 20s, and cannot afford to buy a middle-class house to raise your kids in. But your manslave will be merely penis 41 to you, so not particularly attractive to you. A decade later, once you have your kids and a house that your manslave paid for, you will get bored with him and take him to the fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court and financially massacre him, not caring that he is a human being. To you, as a feminazi bitch princess, men are merely exploitable tools to be used by princesses like you to pay for women to have kids. The fluffy feminist-dominated divorce court system will give you sole custody of the kids with a 90% probability. You'll get the house he paid for. He'll be forced to pay child support for kids he will barely see, and often you'll get alimony from him, so that you can continue to parasite off him after the divorce the way you did before the divorce. In short, marriage and fatherhood is such a rotten deal for men that hundreds of millions of us are now getting very angry and are now putting our foot down, wiping out this massive injustice against men. MGTOWs do this by simply walking away from marriage and fatherhood. 2/3 of young men under 35 in a string of major countries, e.g. US, Japan, Germany, etc., now refuse to marry, refuse to have kids, and spend their money on themselves. They see fluffies as parasitic, hypocritical feminazi princess bitches and refuse to even pump and dump them. The only type of women these MGTOWs masculists will have relationships with are FIP women, and even then only with the tway-tweffing lifestyle. Equals 2A, 2F, equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs, where the man and the woman are both FIPs and have each their own apartment. When the relationship turns sour, they return to their own apartments, cost-free for the man. No divorce because no marriage. No child support because no kids. No alimony because the woman is a FIP. We men have the power to force women to FIP up or be manless. A fluffy can only be a fluffy if she can get her financial claws into some manslave, but the supply of such manslaves is rapidly drying up, forcing women to FIP up or be manless, loveless, sexless, childless and poor because she's a fluffy. As for your stupid belief that women are superior to men, we men outperform you women at the top end of the scale on virtually everything. We have an average IQ 3 to 4 points higher than women's. We have a 10% higher IQ variance than women's. So our IQ scores over the whole population are more spread out than women's. So it's not surprising that men have won 99% of the Science Nobel Prizes. The genii are males. Even your traditional monopolies of vagina and womb will soon be superseded by AI, that's artificial intelligence, based sex bots that will do a better job of sexing men than women can. And Japanese scientists have already grown a goat in an artificial womb. So human babies can't be far off. Once men can grow their own kids and fuck their machines, women will become irrelevant for men. Sex bots don't nag and don't parasite off men's money. The masculists are more politically minded than the MGTOWs. The masculists' main political goal is to wipe out manslavery in the 21st century, worldwide, by wiping out fluffies, not by killing them, but by ignoring them to death, so that they rot on the shelf to extinction. We men will force women to be FIPs, otherwise they are severely punished. They will not only not get a man, they will be spat at for being immoral, parasitic, manslaving vermin. Manslavery is slavery. Slavery is a war issue, and the masculists are at war against the fluffies and fluffy feminists, aiming to wipe them out. Masculist MGTOWs have their nuclear weapon, that is, their strongest argument. Quote, until society, and particularly the gender politicians, mend fair, the verb, the gender laws, for example, divorce reform, bringing in the para, paternity rejection right, etc., MGTOWs/masculists will continue to reject paternity and hence wipe out whole populations, in capital letters. So men must win. We men will get what we want because we have a knife at the throats of the feminazi bitches with their gynocentric, misandrous institutions, for example, the divorce courts, and the constant male put-down in the media, etc. In reality, men are the superior sex, and we have totally lost patience with feminazi princesses, so you women will fip up, rejecting your princess mentality, or you'll be punished, you hated feminazi bitch. Go fuck yourself, because no man will. Women like you will rot on the shelf, ignored to death by men, and regularly spat at. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Prof. Hugo de GARIS at yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com.